we have a bunch of guests here. We are a singing congregation, and so we're going to start with some singing for sure. Let's turn to the top of page 10 in the prayer book. I'm taking out my wallet, not to give anyone some money, but to take out a guitar pick. Top of page 10, Hine Mato. It's a Hebrew book, goes from right to left, and we're looking at the black page numbers. Wow, back from college. Nice, we have 2 college gals here. Fantastic. Welcome. One from the warm climes of Arizona and one from the freezy polar cap of Minnesota, right? Abby, that's where you're going? Minnesota? Yep. Top of page 10, Hine Matov, how good it is for all of us to be together. Hine Matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov, hine Matov, yalalai, yalalalalai. Hine Matov, hine Matov, yalalai, yalala. Wait, don't sit down, Rabbi. You said hello to all the Republicans on this side. Now say hello to all the Democrats. Go. I know, you're not being rude, Rabbi. Just, we're singing and you go, say hello to everybody. Hine Matov manayim, Hine Matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. I didn't mean to imply that you guys, I wasn't trying to be insulting. You're on the right side of the room. You guys are on the. It might not be insulting. Okay, so whatever it is, I'm in trouble because
play music.
I'm going to play music. Top of page 20 in the prayer book. I'm going to turn there as well. What do we, is it Shalom Aleichem or Lechadodi? Lechadodi. Perfect. Lechadodi lihikrat kala, ene Shabbat nehekabela. Lechadodi lihikrat kala, ene Shabbat nehekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, ene Shabbat nehekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, ene Shabbat nehekabela. First verse. Shahamor v'zachor v'diburecha, Hishmianu el hameochad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Top of the page. Lechadodi likrat kala, ene Shabbat nikabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, Shabbat nekavela. Second verse. Lihikrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, meherosh mikedem nesucha, sof masev b'machshava techila. Lechadodi לקראת קהלה, נשבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קהלה, נשבת נקבלה. Top of page 21, number 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כבורך קומי הורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת קהלה, נשבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קהלה, נשבת נקבלה. We're going to sing verse number 9, but before we do, read the footnote below verse 9, and except for Ron, everybody do what it says. אוהי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, turn back around, sit down. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת קהלה, נשבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קהלה, נשבת נקבלה.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Paul Kipnis, and with Cantor Doug, you're way higher than
I brought out a different chair because this chair's a little low for me to play guitar on. Would you like to be a little higher?
No, I'm good.
I'm kind of like, you know, all the talk show hosts. They're always a little higher than their guests.
I like it.
So I'll interview you then. Rabbi, when we stood up and looked out toward the front door for the last verse of Lecha Dodi, remember when we were in Tzfat in Israel?
The sacred mystical city, yeah.
The mystical city in Israel, which is where this song
was
kind
written,
of originates.
Yeah, the
so there, you're going to have to help me because I don't remember the whole thing. But there's the welcoming of the Sabbath bride.
Yeah.
And they're looking out the door to welcome her in. Is that?
I thought someone was bringing the oneg and you wanted to see if it was good.
Make sure the cookies get here on time.
You're welcoming the Shabbat bride. Okay. Absolutely.
Very good.
Perfect.
Okay.
Welcome, I'm Rabbi Paul Kipnis. Welcome to Cantor Doug and Rabbi Paul on Shabbos Eve. We want to welcome all of you who are here worshiping with us tonight and all of you worshiping via the live stream. Thank you to Bronze Productions for helping make that possible. We are here for Torah Study Shabbat. That means that we have a regular Shabbat service, but we'll just take some time and we'll read some Torah, do some learning about Torah, study a little bit together. Why read Torah on a Friday night? Isn't it traditional that you read it on a Saturday morning? Sure, and you also traditionally don't drive to services on Friday night, which all of you did. So we're going to take the beauty of Torah and the modernity of being progressive Jews, and we're going to marry it together, but not quite yet. Now we're going to worship, create community, but to do so, you know, we have a nice intimate group. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass around really quickly a Shabbat welcome, and I'm going to ask you to do two things. One is to tell us your name, and second is the most beautiful thing you've seen in the last week. But you only get one sentence, no more. Ready? And we're going to start with Matthew. Sorry, Matthew. Tell us your first and last name and something beautiful you've seen in the last week. My mother.
Name.
Say it. Say your name.
Matthew Franklin. I'd say probably one of the most beautiful things was flying into LAX this past week, just sort of seeing the mountains in the distance above the city.
Beautiful.
Where'd you fly in from?
I was visiting my girlfriend in Columbus, Ohio.
From Columbus.
Okay,
Nice.
awesome.
My name is Connor O'Brien, and the most beautiful thing I saw last week was my girlfriend coming home from New York.
Beautiful.
Smart
I'm
guy.
Alexandra Franklin, the girlfriend. And I would say that I'm not going to copy you, but I guess seeing New York recede in the distance as I was coming home.
I'm Lynn Franklin, and I think the most beautiful was the last sunset. We were in Puerto Vallarta, the last sunset in Puerto Vallarta. It was pretty
Beautiful.
I'm Eddie Franklin, and yesterday we honored my aunt who passed away at the year of 100,
Wow.
and a celebration of her life and what she meant to our family.
Beautiful. Thank you. We'll keep going around the background.
Helene Baker, the beautiful moon that's out tonight, it's round
Yeah.
as big as can be.
Beautiful.
Yep. Winter solstice.
Arlene Franklin, my children Annie and Helene, and the grandchildren, and it's just a pleasure to be here.
And to see all of them is a beautiful sight.
Yes, and this family too.
I'm Dick Franklin, and the most beautiful sight that I've seen this past week is my two grandchildren coming in from college from out of town. And it was a real pleasure and delight to see them.
Amen.
Their shining faces.
Amen. Thank you.
I'm Sarah Landau, and the most beautiful thing I saw this week was my little sister working in college.
Beautiful.
I'm Beth Lieberman, and one of the most beautiful things I saw this week was Boston Harbor.
Beautiful. Welcome back.
Papa Newt, the first thing I saw this week is Abby smile.
Granddaughter. Beautiful.
I'm Lisa Friedman, and I'd say I had a gathering with my friends last night, and it was just good to see them. I hadn't seen them in a really long time.
Beautiful.
I'm Abby, and the most beautiful thing I saw was my family when I came in from school.
Beautiful.
I'm Marcy Gore, and Abby surprised me walked in my classroom at 2 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I knew she was in town, but I didn't know she was coming to see me, and that's pretty much what I did.
Beautiful.
My name is Brad Gore, and probably seeing Abby and my wife Marcy get together when Abby came home.
Beautiful.
I'm Gail Petler, and it was seeing my son Kyle, who I haven't really seen in 9 months.
It's like he was born again. Well, not quite born again, but right.
My name is Shelley Rothberg, and actually just listening to everybody was a beautiful thing. And I actually saw the sunrise this morning, and it was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Gary Kurtz. There was a sunset a couple of nights ago that was orange, and the clouds were in bunches and absolutely breathtaking.
Beautiful.
My name is Sharon Kelson, and the most beautiful thing that I've seen this week is the incredible amount of love that the Chodorow family has for each other.
I'm a Chodorow. I'm Carol Chodorow, and I think the most beautiful thing I saw this week was all the love put out for them all.
Holding in our hearts.
I'm Ron Chodorow, believe it or not, her sister.
No.
Her brother.
You're the brother. Yes.
I'm for Clint. And the most beautiful thing I saw this week, probably for the last time, was my mother's beautiful face.
My name is Maria Shepard, and I too was at that funeral and saw the beautiful love that went around throughout everyone at that funeral for Rose.
I'm glad you're all with us here this first Shabbos after she passed.
My name is Jeff Henderson. I think the most beautiful thing I saw was my wife playing with her granddaughter.
I'm Donna Henderson, and the most beautiful thing I saw was my little granddaughter who's 15 months, and I'm taking a grandma and me class every Monday at VBS, and it's so nice. I love it.
Beautiful. Let's bring something else beautiful into this room. Let's turn our prayer books to page 2. I'd like to invite y'all, Shelley and Gail, up to light Shabbat candles. Page 2 for Hadlakat Neirot. Let's see the light of Shabbat warm us.
La 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 la, ya 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 la la, ya la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat La 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la la la
Page 28 for the Baruch Hu, page 28. Please rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Alalalai Alai Alalai Alalalai Alai Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Vaed Leolam Vaed
Page 30. Page 30.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher bidvaro ahariv aravim Bechokma poteach שערים ובתבונה משנה עיתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם בריא כרצונו אללה 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 בוריום בלילה גוללור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל החי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Aravi
Page 35 for listen. Page 35.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen, listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen, listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen, listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen, listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes and listen. To our God.
Please be seated.
Page 40. La 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la. Mi chamocha, vali Madonna, mi chamocha, nedar vakoleno, radino lepeleno, radino lepele, yalai, yalalai, 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 yalalai. Moshe ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית
Page 48. Please rise if you're able.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu ve'imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'hanora El Elyon גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם עזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים, סומך רופאים ורופא חולים, ומציר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו ומדום אליו ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Let's take a few moments for silent prayer, either the words on the pages through page 61 or those in your heart. When you are finished, please be seated.
לעסוק בדברי תורה, 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 לעסוק בדברי תורה.
In a moment, we will take the Torah out of the ark. Again, a reminder, traditionally we read Torah on Shabbat morning, Saturday morning, on Monday and Thursday, which used to be market days. Think of the farmer's market. Everyone came to get produce and gave baskets and whatever they needed to buy. They were all there, so they gathered together for a moment to read Torah, to be together to study the words of our tradition. Well, we gather together tonight on Friday nights. That's our tradition in our community. So we study Torah sometimes on Friday nights. I want to get word out that when it's time for the Aliyah, the blessing before and after Torah, we will invite up, an opportunity, not a requirement, anyone from the, I'm guessing the 30 and under crowd who would like to do an Aliyah. I'll be calling you up. If you're going to do it, there's tali tot over there, prayer shawls. You can grab one. If I got someone if someone here is like 31 or 32, I don't know exactly everybody's age, you can join in too. I was taking a guess. So, the blessings for the Torah on page 250, but I invite everyone to please rise as we read Torah from
Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan, Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'kidushato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Hallelujah, 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 Elech Hamdalibi Hosanna al Natidaleh Elech Hamdalibi Hosanna al Natidaleh Elech Hamdalibi Hosanna al Natidaleh Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
Okay. Awesome. You got Torah. We have all these young people here, which is great. So, if you look on, everybody should have near them a white sheet and a yellow sheet. Yep. On the white sheet, this week's Torah portion is Vayechi. This week's Torah portion is Vayechi. It means "and he lived." A little background to the story. Remember, let's go. We have Abraham married to Sarah. They have a child, Isaac. Isaac is married to Rebecca, right? Isaac and Rebecca have 2 kids, Jacob and Esau, twins. And Jacob marries 4 women. Some say marries 4, some say 2 wives and 2 concubines, Rachel, Leah, Rachel, Zilpah, and Bilhah. And among them they have the 12 tribes. A couple of them are grandchildren, which we'll look at in a minute. And he also has 1 daughter, Dinah, who, sad heart story, according to most readings of the story, she was raped by Shechem, and sort of disappears from the story. The brothers don't handle it too well. Jacob says about nothing, and she's gone. We're going to come back to that in a minute. But in this Torah portion, this week, Jacob, remember Joseph, coat of many colors, gets sold off by his brothers for slavery because he was a little egotistical, egocentric young man, said that the whole family would bow down to him like the stars and the moon and so on. So, to the sun. So they sell him off to slavery. He ends up making his way up and becoming Pharaoh's right-hand man. He figures out how to collect food for 7 years, and then after 7 years to dole it out when there is a famine all over the whole Near East, if you will. And he becomes a very powerful and important man. And then when the famine hits the land of Israel, called Canaan then, the Israelites, the brothers come down to Egypt, and lo and behold, who's in charge? Their brother. And after a variety of things, they reconcile, and they send him back to go bring back Jacob, the patriarch, who thought his son was dead, Joseph. And Vayechi, he lives, and also Jacob lives. We're reading the beginning of Jacob moving towards his death and blessing his children. And we'll start with his grandchildren. But to help us as we read the Torah, I'd like to call up all of the young people to join, who would like to join us. The blessings are on page 250. Ya'amdu lalila, Ya'amdu kola. Young people, Na'arim, Na'arim, Hayakarim, Lali ala Torah. We call up all the young people for an Ali ala Torah. Come on up, come on up, come on up, come on up. Okay. So I'm reading from. So remember, take your seat, touch the Torah there, and give it a kiss. Go ahead. There. Baruch et Adonai Haborah. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan banu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah. Amen. Right there. And I'm reading on the white sheets. On the first page, you'll see verse 8. There's a space between the
Second paragraph.
Second paragraph in both the Hebrew and the English. Vayar Yisrael et b'nei Yosef, Vayomer mi Elah. And Israel, that's Jacob's other name since he wrestled with the angel, and Israel saw the children of Joseph and said, who are these? Vayomer Yosef el Aviv, and Joseph said to his father, Benai, him, they are my sons. Asher natan li Elohim bazeh, that God gave to me here. Vayomer, and he said, Kachem na Eli, take them to me, or bring them to me. Ve'avarachem, and I will bless them. Ve'enei Yisrael kavdo mizoke, lo yuchal lirot. And Jacob, or Israel's eyes, were heavy with age. Maybe they were weak with age, heavy with age, and he could not see. Remember how we started the service talking? Remember how we started the service talking about what you could see, beautiful sight to see. He couldn't see the beauty of these children. Vayagesh otam, and he drew them near Elav to him. Vayishak lahem, vaychabek lahem, and he kissed them and he hugged them. Vayomer Yisrael el Yosef, and Israel said to Joseph, Ro'o fanecha lo filalti. I did not expect to see your face again. V'hinei her'eh oti Elohim gam et zaracha. I did not expect to see your face again. And behold, or look at this, God even showed me your offspring, the children you brought into the world. And so if you'll touch your tummy there. Everybody else? What about there? Give a kiss. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Quick blessing. Mishaberach Avotenu Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Motenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech et Ha'anashim Ha'niflaim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, grant each of you wonderful people with the greatest of blessings. May you continue on your journeys, learning, growing, experiencing, laughing, crying a little, laughing even more, experiencing the wonders of the world, always coming home to see your family, your friends, even as you journey off. May we be blessed by Sheping Nachas, sharing the joy and pride as we watch you grow. Baruch atah Adonai shomeh tefillah. We praise you, O God, who hears our prayer, and we say, Amen. While we have a Torah open, should we do Mishperach now? While the Torah is before us and open, we take a moment to say blessings of healing for our loved ones who are ailing, who are struggling physically, emotionally, spiritually, dealing with emotional turmoil. Tonight we ask particularly for blessings of healing for Heidi Padveen, who underwent some shoulder surgery and foot surgery. And recovering well. I had it upside down. And some of you here are asking blessings of healing for your loved
Steve
ones.
Greenberg had back surgery.
Steve Greenberg is healing from back surgery. And some of you are asking for blessings of healing for your loved ones. As we go around, tell us their names and relationship to you. Tonight we ask for blessings for.
Irene Stein, a very close friend of my mother's.
I'm going way out, my whole family.
Amen.
My sister Patty. Daughter Gary.
$253. We're going to sing the indented words of Misha Berach.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Sheberach imotenu mekor habracha le'avochenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
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 So, a little Torah. You'll take out your yellow sheets. A little bit of Torah. I'm fascinated by the eyes. Eyes, they say, are the window to the soul. When you have strong eyes, it means you can see what's happening around you. When one is said to have weak eyes, what does that mean? Because we hear about Jacob and that his eyes were weak from age, so, or heavy from age. So, some commentary that I thought we'd learn together, and we'll pass some of the paragraphs around and I'll explicate some of it. The italicized words are from the Torah portion. So someone want to read from the Torah, not necessarily this portion. Someone want to read number 1 in English, aloud. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were weak, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son and said to him, "My son." And Esau said to him, "Behold, here am I."
Okay, so in that Torah portion, we see, this is a while back in the Torah, that Isaac was old, couldn't see, and so he called his firstborn to bless him, Esau. But in fact, Jacob had switched places with him. Esau was out in the field, and so Jacob dressed up like Esau and went forward and said, "It's me," and stole the blessing of the firstborn, which includes with it inheritance rights and the like. Why'd that happen? Because Isaac was weak. Why did he have weak eyes? We'll take a little exploration of that. Who's like to read 2? Go ahead.
We are taught that his father Isaac was of weak eyes. Isaac failed to recognize the destructive sibling rivalry raging between his twin sons Esau and Jacob. Birthrights traded away, blessings stolen. Few commentators interpret this literally. Interpret this literally, that Isaac had less than 20/20 vision. Rather, having survived the emotional horror of witnessing his father Abraham's attempt to kill him upon the mountaintop, Isaac lost the ability to see, to understand the complex nature of human interactions. From Isaac we learn that when the mind and heart are hijacked by emotional turmoil, the eyes cannot see the world or other people as they truly are.
So remember, on top of the mountain that we read on Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Abraham almost sacrifices Isaac. And whether it was what God intended or not is another study time and another sermon. But the son, seeing his father holding a knife about to slaughter him, trauma that goes on for his lifetime. And some commentators suggest that the reason Isaac was of weak eyes, was of weak personality, unable to stand up and be a strong leader, a doting, caring, compassionate father, was because of that trauma early in his life. So let's continue on and hear about, that's Jacob's father. Now let's hear about one of Jacob's wives. Verse number 3, who'd like to read? Some English. Okay, coming around.
Now Laban had 2 daughters. The elder was named Leah, and the younger was named Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful of form and of face.
Thank you. So we could do a whole study of how these 2 women, our matriarchs, are described. One because of her eyes, which she can see, whatever that means, and the other because of her beauty. What else did they do? How'd they lead the people? How'd they bring children into the world and raise them? How were they partners with Jacob? We hear none of that. This would be a great study of Me Too discussions, but that's for another time. Someone want to read number 4 to give us a little explanation of how we might understand this? English, anyone? Okay.
We are taught that Jacob's wife Leah had eyes that were weak. Our Shabbat table talk on Vayetze offers a variety of explanations for this term. Although
The commentary of
Netziv claims that weak eyes means that Leah's eyes were sensitive and that she was unable to shepherd flocks due to the pain the sun caused her eyes, Rashi explains that because the circumstances of her marriage, Jacob's true love for Rachel and Laban's trickery, were painful to her, Leah was easily moved to tears.
Okay, so we remember that Jacob had fallen in love with Rachel, but at the marriage canopy, because she was veiled, her uncle Laban had tricked him and switched the older sister Leah for the younger sister Rachel. So he ended up marrying Rachel and then working 7 more years to marry Rachel. Maybe the reason she was of weak eyes was because the emotional pain of her marriage, knowing that her husband actually loved her sister Rachel more than her, moved her to tears. But let's learn one other interpretation. Number 5. Anyone want to read some English?
Moreover, as the author Ellen Frankel teaches us in the 5 books of Miriam, the focus on Leah's weak eyes says more about Jacob's character than it does about Leah's. Frankel writes, since Jacob's deception of his brother takes advantage of Isaac's blindness, his punishment fittingly revolves around eyes. Because Leah's face was covered with a veil at her wedding, the only part of her that Jacob would have been able to see would be her eyes. Although eyes are the window into the soul, Jacob's could neither look inward into his own heart nor outward to differentiate between the eyes and the soul of his beloved Rachel or his first wife Leah. From the marriage between Jacob and Leah, we learn that when the heart is heavy, the eyes cannot see clearly.
So perhaps the weakness of eyes weren't just Leah's, but also Jacob, because he was standing there and looking in, if you imagine a veil like a burqa, traditional Arab covering, dress and veil, at least the eyes are seen. He couldn't even tell that the eyes he was looking at under the chuppah, under the marriage canopy, were not Rachel's, but were Leah's. And so he couldn't see all that was going on there. So now we get to this week's Torah portion, number 6. I want to read some English.
Now Israel's eyes were failing because of old age, and he could hardly see. So Joseph brought his sons close to him, and his father kissed them and embraced them.
So his eyes, the Hebrew is the eyes were heavy, but gives us a sense of weakness. So number 7 in this parsha, this week's Torah portion.
In this parsha, we are taught that Jacob's eyes were too kavdo mitzoken, heavy with age, having endured the turmoil of his life, fleeing from his dysfunctional family, running from his enraged brother, being tricked initially out of marrying his beloved Rachel, failing to see the turmoil raging amongst his sons, enduring the apparent death of his beloved son Joseph. Jacob lacks more than 20/20 eyesight. Throughout his life, he is unable to open his heart enough to see the beauty before his eyes.
He had quite a life, quite a bunch of turmoil and trauma in his life. So number 8, until this week's Torah portion, until he finally realizes at the end of his life that he must transcend his suffering and embrace those he wants to love with fullness and openness. So Jacob wraps his arms around his grandchildren, Manasseh and Ephraim, and calls them his own. He offers them blessings because he recognizes, he finally sees that they are part of his blessing. Soon thereafter, he blesses all of his children, or more correctly, all of his sons, offering them wisdom based on this new insight, the sight he finds inside himself. The Torah portion teaches us a number of things. It teaches us that sometimes the emotions in our lives, the challenges we grow up with, the things that happen to us, can cause us to be unable to see. You have a certain kind of anger, you can't see the love around you. Sometimes the anger covers up the sadness, which doesn't allow you to see the sadness and loss that others are feeling. Sometimes loss of relationships or the worry from things that happened in our youth keep us from truly seeing what's in front of us. How many of us walk through life and don't see the beauty around us? That's why when we got here tonight, getting ready to celebrate Shabbat, I asked everybody, what was the most beautiful thing you've seen? Jewish tradition teaches us that we're supposed to say 100 blessings a day. The rabbis are really talking about all of Baruch Atah Adonai, and so if we pray 3 times a day, we get close to that. But others teach that at least 3 times a day, we should look at something unique and say, wow, this is beautiful. I've seen something wonderful. I thank God, I praise God for it. It's never should be too late for that. We don't know when the blessings will be gone, when the loved ones will move on, when the experiences will stop, when our health will begin to fail, and the like. But there's one more thing that Jacob didn't see, and I'd like to share it with you. It's a little challenging because I want to go back to the story of Dinah. Dinah, who is raped, and because of the circumstances of it and the actions of her brothers, no one talks about it afterwards. And so when we say that Jacob blesses his children, he really blesses all of them except for Dinah. How many of you read the book, The Red Tent? So that's a beautiful modern midrash by Anita Diamant. It's probably about 20 years old, because I think we read it the first year I was here as rabbi. And it's a beautiful story of what happened, among other things, what happens to Dinah. Well, for this past about 10 weeks, 10, 12 weeks, I've been writing Torah commentaries for the Union for Reform Judaism, our Reform movement. They send out each Monday a Torah commentary. And a lot of them have been what I call midrashic monologues, where we hear the inner thoughts of one of the characters of the Bible on a major moment in their life. Twice during that period, I actually wrote with a writing partner, Rabbi Rachel Bierman, was a rabbi back east, a new friend of mine, and I was enamored with her writing. I called her up, said, let's write some things together. And we wrote this week something we call The Blessing of Dinah. And if I can borrow you, you can stay seated there. It becomes a dialogue, and you be Dinah, and I'll be Jacob, but I'll do this.
Okay.
So I'd like to share with you.
So who are the two characters?
The two characters are Jacob, the father, on his deathbed, and Dinah, his daughter, who we haven't heard from since she disappeared after the rape. We don't know why she disappears. One might say that the Torah, if it were written by human beings, was written by men who probably couldn't handle it and just wrote her out. But let's see what could have been. So by way of introduction, in Parashat Vayechi, Jacob blesses his sons as he lay on his deathbed. We note the absence of any blessing for or mention of his daughter Dinah. After she was raped by Shechem, Dinah disappears from the Torah, and we never learn of what happens to her. Since blessings, both received and given, provide opportunities for healing, we wonder what might have happened if Dinah had been included in her father's last moments. In this midrashic dialogue, we restore to our ancestors the opportunity to heal their relationship as we imagine Dinah and Jacob's interaction in his final moments.
Abba, Judah told me you wanted to see me. He said that you didn't have much time left and that I needed to come quickly.
Yes, Dinah, Judah was right. My end is near. Why didn't you come when I called your brothers to me?
I didn't realize that you meant for me to come with them. Honestly, I didn't think that you would want to see me. We have been close for such a long time.
What do you mean? You have always been part of my camp. I see you every day.
You may notice me, but you have not seen me in years. In the story of our relationship, Shechem is a flashpoint that changed everything. Since then, I watched as your eyes slid past mine, never catching, never holding. You have not even spoken my name for years. Your silence is deafening. I heard your message as if you were shouting it.
I speak of you often. Just last week I was telling your mother how much I revere your strength. Didn't she tell you what I said?
She told me, but I didn't believe her. Abba, everything you do tells me that you love me. Everything you do tells me that your love for me is broken. Why would I trust my mother's words over my own experience? Why couldn't you speak to me directly? It feels like you let what happened with Shechem just push us apart.
Dinah, I was heartbroken. I am heartbroken. I thought that I was giving you the space you needed for your heart to heal. I thought that others would be able to comfort you better than I ever could. Don't you see that my love for you was constant?
But Abba, I haven't seen love. I've only seen distance. I've only heard silence. How was I supposed to know?
Dinah, my sweet one, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing, rather than risk hurting you.
Oh, Abba, You didn't need to say the right thing. You only needed to say something. I just needed to know that you loved me, that my life continued to matter to you, and that my place in this family was not broken by what happened to me.
I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry. When I was a boy, I used words to trick and hurt. When I became a man, I told myself that words were dangerous and should be carefully weighed. I thought that silence was safer. Now I see that instead of being comforting, my silence brought you more pain. I should have understood. I should have asked you what you needed. I should have listened. I should have done better, been better. I wanted to protect you, but I allowed my guilt to wall off my heart from you. I'm sorry, my Dina, my strong one.
Shh, Abba, lie back, rest. I survived. I made a good life for myself. I will always wish that you had stood beside me as I did the work of living and moving forward, but I'm so glad to hear you say that your absence was not a sign of your lack of love.
Dina, I do not deserve the honor, but as your father I ask of you, may I offer you a blessing?
Your blessing is a gift that I will always cherish.
And so Jacob blesses. Dina, daughter of Jacob and Leah, you are my heart and the strength of my spirit. You are a piece of me that wrestled with angels and that survived when assailed by challenges. You who have been denied what you were due by your father for so long have offered a broken man kindness and mercy. You are strength and love. You are the best of your parents and so much more than we ever could be. Our people will learn from your endurance. I bless you and ask God, who has accompanied me, to walk with you all the days of your life.
Thank you, Abba. Thank you.
Dina, you see me clearly. You know the man I have been and the one I wished I could have been. I never received a blessing from someone who knew the heart of me, someone who I did not deceive. Will you bless my daughter? Will you bless me, my daughter, you who knows the truth of my struggles?
But Abba, is it really my place? You never taught me the words or the formulas of blessing.
Dina, your blessing is a gift that I would always cherish. Please. And so Dina blesses.
Jacob, son of Rebekah and Isaac, you are my father and the guide of our people. You have not lived a perfect life, but you have always tried to walk with God. At times, you have tripped over your own limitations and have failed your family. But when I tell my children stories of their grandfather's life, these failings will not define you. I will tell them of a man who lived a very human life, who fell down but struggled back to his feet again and again. I will tell them of my father who called me to his side, asked for my forgiveness, and offered me a blessing filled with love. Jacob, son of Rebekah and Isaac, father of our people, you will be remembered.
And so Jacob died. His wives, his sons, and his daughter gathered in his tent, offering prayers for his soul's journey. In that crowded space, our patriarch was surrounded by our people's future, even as he was gathered to our people's past. When Rabbi Behrman and I wrote that, we wanted to bring Dina back into the family. We wanted to imagine that in his last moments, Jacob did what was right. We wanted to remind each of us, ourselves, that there will be times that we will be angry at others, that we will hurt others, that we will fail or be with people who fail us. But we always have the opportunity to reach out. Sometimes we can't do it with the person. Maybe they're gone. Sometimes we can't do it because the time isn't right. But we can put our words on paper. We can pass them forward. And maybe, just maybe, the time will come that we can share them. In Judaism, we never say never. Teshuvah is always a possibility. And we say, Amen.
Chaim hi lemachzikim bo v'tomah meushar derachea darchenu v'chol tivotea sham לעסוק בדברי תורה, לעסוק בדברי תורה, לעסוק בדברי תורה, לעסוק בדברי תורה.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you to everybody who read during this, the Torah learning, the commentary. The yellow is a commentary I wrote, put together on this, as with also what the two of us read. Thank you, Donna. I want to tell you about a couple of important things that are coming up and shed some light on something happening in the world that you should think about. On January 11th, if there were ever a command performance when the rabbi says, you got to show up, this is a Friday night. If you're in town, you got to show up if you at all can. Rabbi Rick Jacobs, the president of the Union for Reform Judaism, our Reform Movement's national organization of 2 to 3 million Jews, about 900 synagogues around the country, is coming to Or Ami. He usually goes to the big congregations. To come to a small one like ours is a testament to two things. One is the favors we called in, and second is the high esteem he holds this congregation. And so we are thrilled he's going to be here. We're having a dinner beforehand at 6 o'clock. But we need to fill this sanctuary as we hear an incredible vision for the future of Judaism and of Reform Judaism particularly. So I hope you'll come. I hope those who are in town will bring friends of friends, and fill this place up. It's really, we shep nachas that he's here. On Tuesday, January 15th, part of our Or Ami Center for Jewish Parenting parenting sessions, we have the ups and downs of social media. How to navigate the way social media impacts your relationship with your teen. So it's going to be a great piece. And I just learned today that, or this week, that the Israel Trauma Coalition, a group that helps in Israel, helps bring healing to victims of terror and their families, and travel the world to help during disasters all over. Jewish Federation is bringing them to Los Angeles to speak to people out here in the valleys who have endured the mass shooting out in Thousand Oaks or were close to it, and who have gone through these fires. Because even if you're back in your home, the worry about those fires coming that close, also connected with the knowledge that there was the shooting first in Pittsburgh and then so close here, that there's a sense of where is the safety. Many of us are carrying around a lot. So they're going to be here, and we've worked a session. I think it's going to be Thursday the 17th, but I'll get information out. But spread the word. It's not just for our congregation, it's for anyone. Now next week, December 28th, is going to be a home Shabbat. So celebrate Shabbat at home with your family and friends, and prepare for the secular New Year that's coming around. Now, one more piece. As you know, Cantor Doug and I take trips to Israel regularly. We were just there last April, and we're going again with a family trip, multi-generational trip in June. One of the things we saw, I don't know if it was on this last trip, but it might have been the trip before, is we went up to the northern border of Israel in the Golan Heights. And we were looking in, and from a place up there you can see into Syria, some into Jordan, some into Lebanon. But looking into Syria, and this might have been before our trip got there, when I did a private tour up there, you could see where troops from ISIS, the direction they were sitting just north of Israel's border. You could see where Iran had troops up there. In fact, at a recent AIPAC convention, they had one of the spokespeople for the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, talking about how close, showing from where she would be sitting on her porch in her backyard, looking out into the direction of Syria, and they showed on a screen how close these two groups who are committed to Israel's destruction, ISIS on the one hand and Iran on the other. And the Soviet Union was farther up, Russia, not Soviet Union, was farther up in Syria. And between those two groups, and then with Russia now calling many of the shots, Israel is worried more and more that its northern border is going to have on it enemies who are not only hateful towards Israel, but have articulated a desire to destroy Israel. And whether they can or can't is another question. But we know that Iran has weaponry, that they've already given much of it to Hezbollah in the north. And they found already 4 tunnels coming under the north of Israel from Lebanon. So I don't usually talk about geopolitics, except a little bit here. That the United States is now talking about pulling out of Syria, in my opinion, is not good for the world and not good for Israel. It's not good for the world because if we understand that Iran has certain designs on that whole area, if we know that, that ISIS has already done damage and murder and genocide towards the Yazidis and others, we have to be worried. And if it's Russia that's now calling the shots, what their relationship to Israel with is unclear. So for me, it concerns me for the safety of the world that the United States is pulling out. Secondly, I know my cousin is one of the people involved in our attempt to give aid to Syrian refugees that are still in that whole area. If the United States pulls out, they are very worried about how we're going to get aid to all of these refugees, all these Syrians who are pushed out of their homes because of the war. And lastly, the Kurds, who have been supportive of us in the war against ISIS. Now Turkey wants to come in and destroy them. So I don't often talk about geopolitics, and this isn't about this president or that president, it's about this situation here. I think it's dangerous for the Kurds, it's dangerous for the Syrian refugees, it's dangerous for the refugee resettlement programs, it's not good for Israel. And we should keep our eye on it because it can have great implications in the future. You don't have to agree with it, but now that I've opened your eyes even more, read. Read newspapers on the left and the right. Watch TV, the left and the right. Watch what's happening up there and the American role in it, because it will be significant, very significant for the future. I'd like to invite us now to turn in our prayer books to page 294. 294. We gather together in memory of those who died at this season and in years past, those we lost recently, those years ago. We still hold them in our hearts. Their memories, the memory of them can warm us, can help us see the goodness in life. Some of you are remembering your loved ones during this time of Kaddish. As I bring my hand around the room, I invite you to mention their names and their relationship to you aloud. So tonight, we are remembering. My mother, Rose Garfield.
My mother, Rose Garfield.
My husband, Mike.
My sister was Chaco Garfield. My mother.
My Aunt Rosamund.
We also remember our congregant, Bob Newman, who died and was buried this month. We bring them into our hearts as our own as we rise together as one community. And on page 294, we say together, Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ul'olmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha brichu. Le'ela min kol berachata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mrumav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom b'mrumav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu al kol Yisrael.
We conclude by, if you're comfortable, putting your arms around the people close to you. We sing the prayer that we sing whenever we close our services, our study sessions, and the like. Hashkivenu. I'll give you the Hebrew and then the English. Repeat after me.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom.
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 V'ha'amidenu shomreinu.
V'ha'amidenu shomreinu.
L'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings.
Shelter us beneath thy wings.
O Adonai.
O Adonai.
Guard us from all harmful things.
Guard us from all harmful things.
O Adonai.
O Adonai.
Keep us safe throughout the night.
Keep us safe throughout the night.
Till we wake with morning's light.
Till we wake with morning's
Teach us,
light.
God, wrong from right.
Teach us, God, wrong from right.
O Adonai.
O Adonai.
Amen. So we began tonight by talking about the most beautiful thing we saw in this week, one of the most beautiful things, how our eyes were opened and our hearts were uplifted. And then we journeyed with Jacob and Leah and Isaac and Tamar and Dinah in the times that our eyes are closed and we don't see what's possible. And then we learned that Jacob, at his end of his life, was able to see and hold on to his grandchildren, perhaps even hold on to his daughter he was estranged from. And it reminds us always to open our eyes to see hope and possibility. Remember, our national Jewish anthem is Hatikva, a song of hope. May you be filled with hope, with eyes opened, and see the beauty as we sing. Shabbat Shalom. In a minute, we're going to make our way out there. If someone can go get the Kiddush grape juice from behind the divider.